Hi everybody, thank you for joining me in this lovely back bending sequence we're going to practice together today. So a couple of props you might want to have, a strap potentially. If you know that you can't reach back and grab your foot in things like dancer's pose, do grab a strap because it can be really useful. You also might want to have a large pillow or a bolster, and if you want to keep warm at the end of the practice or anything underneath your knees throughout the session, a lovely blanket is always welcome. So join me on the mat. We're going to start on the front of the body, lying down with our head resting onto our hands. I'll meet you there. And let's just rest here for a few moments in stillness. And we're going to think about the back line of the body, using it as a bit of symbolism for that concept of letting go of the past, but carrying what we need into the future. We don't want to let go of everything. We can't let go of everything. But we can let go of the things that are holding us back, that are dragging us down. And we can begin to let go of things that don't really serve us, so that we might be able to then carry the things that are useful forward throughout the rest of the year. So we'll just keep coming back to this concept, using this as symbolism, the back of the body, for this learning to let go of what doesn't serve us, but also carrying what does, or what may serve us. And let's use the breath to actually breathe into the back of the body. So the back of the rib cage can also elevate up and out as we inhale, and then contract back in and down as we exhale. Not forgetting that the ribs don't just go around the front of the body, but also the back of the body. And take a couple more breaths here in stillness. Maybe just let your legs really soften into the ground. Don't worry if the feet turn in or out. And then just picking the feet up, knees bend. We can circle the ankles, get a bit of movement going in your feet, your ankle joints. Encouraging awareness that the soles of the feet are still the back line of the body. The Achilles tendon, the calf muscles, the hamstrings, the buttocks, still the back line of our bodies. Then we might want to just rock the feet from left to right, just nice and gently. The hips might come away from the ground a little bit. We don't have to bring the feet down to the floor. Just gently allowing left and right rocking motions. Good, then tucking the toes into the ground, see we can stretch out through the backs of the legs as much as possible, slightly engaging the buttocks and the thighs. So the backs of the thighs can stretch out, the calves can stretch a little bit. We'll inhale here. And exhale, let the legs soften, let the feet relax. And then just wiggle the hips side to side, releasing the lower back. Let the legs be floppy. And very slowly come to a still pause. And as we inhale, let's bring the forearms to the ground, coming into our Sphinx position and pulling up through the back of the skull. So finding that length through the back of the neck, not lifting the chin, but thinking about can we grow through the back of the head, feeling that nice curvature of your neck be supported. And if you need a little extra support, squeeze the buttocks and tuck the tailbone towards the feet. And I want you to create a bit more of an active position here. So we're pulling the elbows maybe in towards the center, lengthening up through the back of the skull and breathing. Now we'll lift up the left elbow, slide the right arm underneath, And we're going to roll onto that right hip, drawing the left knee in. Then we can wing open this left arm into our twist and perhaps catch the outside of the left leg with the right hand. Now you don't have to push the knee down into the ground or yank the left shoulder into the ground. You can maybe decide floating in the middle, so you have a little bit of a pulse going here. You maybe might want to ground the knee and see where the pectoral muscle needs that stretch. You might decide to ground the shoulder and then play with moving the knee a little closer to the earth. Just see where you feel the stretch. Where would you like to experience the stretch? And not having to force your body into a deeper version that it doesn't really want to go into. So that kind of, again, that awareness of letting go of some of the tension here so that we can release the spine to move forward. We can only work with what we have in this moment. One more breath here. Now draw the knees together to that left side, and we're going to bring the right hand underneath the head and the left hand can come in front of you. So you've got a little bit of support here. Picking up the left leg and then just pushing it back and forward. So we're going to try and keep the hip relatively in line with the knee. This left hand can be a little bit of support for you. And we're just waking up the hip basically, and the thigh and the hip flexor. We're going to repeat this sort of kind of bent knee back bend quite a few times, but just play with how it moves into the pelvis. Let your body move. See what natural undulations your body makes as you bring the leg back and forward. And if there's a little bit of a lift in the knee, it's okay. Nothing terrible is going to happen, but we're just going to try and encourage the hip to stay nice and square. Now you might want to bring the hand to catch the foot or the shin and play with this little bit extra balance and also working into the shoulder. And if you really like this feeling, flip the grip so that we take the inside of the foot with the left hand. So we're going to work into dancer's pose a little bit later if you want to. So we have that, again, feeling of working with the shoulder, the upper back, as well as with the lower back and the lower part of our bodies. Good. Maybe pausing and holding with that leg pushing backwards, see how it feels. And then slowly release, the legs come back together. We'll roll back into our Sphinx position, squeezing the buttocks, tucking the glutes towards the heels, and finding that push down through the forearms. I was about to say forearms. They're not forearms yet, forearms. So we'll elevate that right elbow. Left arm goes underneath. We roll onto the left hip, draw the right knee in, and we wing open the right arm into that twist. Remember, this left hand can gently press to the outside of the right leg, and we can play with deepening. Oh, my back cracked, how wonderful. And just feel where the tension is in your body. Where do you want to work into this? It's not wrong to drop the shoulder to the floor. It's not wrong to drop the knee to the floor, but it's also not wrong to stay in the middle and just play with where the stretch is being felt. So we often can get quite strict with our alignment, go, we have to bring the knee here, we have to bring the shoulder there, we can't bring the arm here. You can feel what's going on in your body, and we're all different shapes and sizes, so different experiences might be felt in our bodies in different ways with subtle changes and shifts. Good, let's take another breath. Now we'll draw the knees together. Bring the left hand underneath the head and bring the right hand in front of the chest. And again, just draw that right knee in and push it back, keeping the knee bent so that we're working with the hip joint. We feel the thigh. You can straighten the leg if that feels better. We're just playing with some movement, waking up the hip, feeling that movement happening in your hips. So let the hips move, let the body respond to this movement, not necessarily overarching, but just go a little bit at a time. So just waking up the back. You might want to catch the right foot with the right hand and then again play with this movement. Maybe flipping the grip, so you take the inside of the right foot with the right hand, so external rotation of the shoulder, again you can move. Or you can pause by pushing the foot into the hand, so you'll feel this into the shoulder blade, as well as feeling it into the back and the leg and the thigh. Oh, I love this pose. And then release the legs back together, roll back onto your belly, this time pushing all the way up into a tabletop pose, tucking the toes and shifting into downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog is not somewhere you want to come today, we can come into a puppy pose. So we're thinking about lengthening out the spine. If you're taking your puppy variation, try and think about keeping the rib cage slightly tucked in, and we're pulling the sit bones back to get a stretch all the way through the back. And you can always play with both, so you might want to come into down dog and into puppy or vice versa. Apparently I brought the garden in with me. Leaves everywhere. Let's move those out of the way. And just have a little explore of the back line of the body. And if you're in downward facing dog, you've also got the legs as well here, all the way down to the feet. And really feel that back space that we can't see, but we can only feel. Now let's start to walk the hands in a little bit so we can bring a bit of weight into the feet. And if you're in puppy pose, again, coming onto the feet. And start to walk your feet all the way to the top of your mat, coming into a lovely forward fold with bent knees. So just bending your knees deeply, letting the head release. Maybe a yes, yes, no, no with the head. Releasing the neck, and just feeling that elongation happening through your vertebrae of your spine, so keeping the knees bent here. Now we'll come to a flat back as we inhale, hands can rest to the thighs, and feel the back muscles activate. Your belly will naturally probably hug in, so you don't have to squeeze the belly in here, but avoid the hammocking into the lower back, so we can kind of lengthen through the spine. Inhale, and exhale, release back down. We're going to go again. Inhale, find a flat back. Feel the back muscles activate. Head stays in line with your spine. And exhale, release. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Inhale. Exhale. And again, inhale. Exhale. Now you can stay at a slow speed or you can speed this up a bit more. Inhale. Exhale. In and out through the nose. Feeling the back muscle starting to work. Inhale, exhale. 2 more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, release. And we're going to curl up through the spine, vertebrae at a time. Hopefully you felt your back. Just go, oh, hello. All the way up to standing. And as we come up tall, reach the arms up high, bring the palms to touch, and exhale the hands to the heart center. Take a moment to just check in with how the back line of the body feels. Now, if you start to experience a little bit of discomfort in the back, just remember we're working our back muscles. So take it easy, but you also might discover that there is activation and therefore some pain of your muscles. So take it easy today so that tomorrow won't be absolute agony, yeah? So interlace the fingers. Flip the palms up and take a nice big stretch. As we exhale, take a little side stretch to the right. Inhale back to the center and side stretch to the left. Inhale to the center. We're going to take the arms out wide and dive down. So coming through that flat back we did, all the way, bending the knees, diving down into this forward fold. We'll step the left leg back. Oh, right leg, sorry. Let's go right leg first. I won't mirror you. Right leg's going back into this lovely low lunge position. Fingertips are going to stay down onto the ground. Maybe squeeze the buttocks a little bit just to work into supporting the lower back. We'll take another breath. As we exhale, we'll shift the weight back. Now you can just walk your hands back a little bit to get a bit of a hamstring stretch, maybe flicking the left toes up to the sky. And we can stay here, feeling that beautiful stretch, or we can kind of make it a bit more dynamic, moving in and out of the lunge, just waking up the hamstring of the left leg. Depending on how tight you're feeling, you might want some more movable motion in your body as opposed to just holding and yanking. So just decide what works best for you today. I think movement works best for me today, so that feels nice. Good, we're going to land the hands down and either come into a tabletop position in cat-cow, so we can cat and cow here, or we can tuck the toes and shift into down dog.
So just choose again what's appropriate for you. You might decide you just want to come into a very gentle child pose position. Then we'll float the knees back down to the floor if we're in our down dog and step the right foot forward. I'll get my left and right this time. Coming through that low lunge on the other side, but this time just holding the low lunge. Inhale. Exhale, we'll join the feet back to the top of the mat, maybe about hip distance, soften the knees. Curling all the way up this time, so rounding the spine, coming all the way up with the arms. Palms can touch, and then we're going to exhale to cactus to open the heart center. Cactusing the arms, think of the heart center opening to the sky, and then bring the hands back to the heart center. Interlace the fingers. Flip the palms up to the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, a little side stretch to the left. Inhale back to the center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to the center. We bend the knees, wing the arms out wide. We're folding, remember, flat back. Until we get to that point where then we have to round the spine to come into that standing forward fold. Left leg's going to step back this time. I will get my left and right. Dropping the left knee down and just holding the lunge to begin with. Feeling that stretch of the left hip flexor. Just noticing what it feels like in your body to expand into this area. It's going to help with any form of back bending to open up the front of the hip. And then we'll shift the weight back into our half Hanuman. Remember, we can stay here, just lengthening out through the right leg, or we can dynamically wake up the leg. So moving back and forward. And it might be that you're coming to the session today with tension, depending on what you've been doing in your life, whether you've been doing lots of activity or not a lot. So it might depend on what the muscles want, whether it's cold or whether it's warm. So all these different variables will make you notice how you want to move your body appropriately today. Good. Now we can take that right foot back, joining it with the left, maybe coming into a few cat-cows, or coming into downward facing dog, or anything that feels right for you today. Just breathing smoothly and exploring the back of the body as best we can. We'll slowly drop the knees down into the earth, and we're going to step forward with that right leg, coming into that lunge. This time just hold the lunge, looking up, and exhale, stepping the feet back to the top of your mat, forward fold. Curling all the way up, arms come up to the sky, palms touch, and as we cactus the arms open the chest, get a little bit of exploration through the front of your body, and the hands come to the heart center. Breathe. Now releasing the hands, tuck the chin to the chest, and I want you to begin that rounding all the way down. Feeling the back line of the body. Try and keep your legs straight as we roll down through each vertebrae, experiencing the back line of the body. If you want to intensify this, interlace the fingers behind the head, elbows pull in, and we're not trying to get the elbows to the knees or thighs, but in that general direction is how we're trying to roll in. Avoid leaning too far back into your heels and start to bring a bit of the weight forward to get extra stretching through the body. Notice where you want to stop. We don't have to keep moving, but have that feeling of really rounding the back line of the body. I mean, for me, I can feel this in my right foot. So you'll feel the stretch where you might be holding tension. Yes, I'm holding tension in my right foot for sure. I've started running, so what is this? My body's like, what? So we'll feel that tension starting to unravel in the areas of the body that are holding it. So the unnecessary holding, we can start to let go, slowly and gradually, with an easy way into a fascial stretch. Good, releasing the bent knees, so the straight knees, release them to bent, release the arms. I will wake up eventually. The hands can then come down to the ground, and we're going to step back into our downward facing dog. Now, if you're not practicing in down dog at all today, you can come into a tabletop position or always a puppy pose. If you are practicing the downward facing dog, then just find that position where it really feels comfortable to elongate through the spine. And importantly, what is your intention for this pose? Is there a perfect downward facing dog position? Probably not. But what do we want to work with today in our bodies? If we need a little bit less kind of effort in the hands, just walk the hands back a little bit more. If we need a bit less effort in the legs, bend the knees more. So there isn't a perfect distance. It's what we're finding is appropriate for our bodies today. Take another breath. As we inhale, we'll raise onto the balls of the feet and slowly with control shift the weight forward and start to hover the knees down into the earth, very softly coming into a tabletop position, just like a gentle release of the knees, so your core should be activated. Then we're going to come through a cow position, so we'll arch the spine, lifting the back of the skull, and just lift the tailbone as high as it wants to go for your body. So just feeling into that lower back. We have two options here. Option one, we drop the chin and the chest down to the floor, using most of the effort in your arms. This is an arm strengthening practice here. If this feels like, oh God, no way, drop your forearms and come into a forearm tabletop variation because we can work from here as well. So just be aware of where your body wants to go. And if you're in this position here, then start to maybe lift the left leg up, bent knee, toes almost trying to reach towards the head. Have a little play. What happens? What happens? Can we lift that leg up high? If you want to work even harder, tuck the right toes and lift the right knee off the floor and maybe straighten the left leg. We're going to make our way come down onto the ground. So we're going to slither all the way onto the belly. Legs are going to join together at the back of the mat. And then bring the arms forward, as far forward as you need to go, to then straighten the arms into our seal pose. Important note, squeeze the buttocks, tuck the tailbone towards the feet and let the feet be active. And then imagine you're trying to pull your mat towards you. You're pulling it in, so your upper back muscles have to work in order to get that feeling of pulling. Your shoulders will be coming down the back, and we're feeling that effort in our body. So it's an active seal pose. Then sliding the hands back as we lower the chest, they come all the way close towards the rib cage. Tuck your toes. Now you can keep your knees grounded or lift your knees. Chin a little bit tucked in here. And we're going to try and pick up the entire torso in one piece, all the way up into either that extended tabletop or plank, and then back into downward facing dog. Now you don't have to do this next section in down dog. You can do this in tabletop because we're going to come into a plank variation, building a little bit of heat here. So lifting the right leg up, three-legged down dog or three-legged tabletop position, and then shift your weight forward so that your shoulders come relatively over your wrists. Bending the right knee, so remember we're trying to touch the head with the toes. Symbolically, we don't ever have to touch the head. Now keep the shoulders over the wrists, whether in tabletop or plank, and then we're going to draw that right knee in towards the nose, curling the spine. Inhale to lift it back up again, keeping the shoulders over the wrists, and exhale, nose to knee. And again, lift it back up. Leg goes high, nose to knee. Last time, elevating it up, lift it up, inhale. And this time, as we exhale, let's step that right foot in between the hands and lower the left knee down into the earth, low lunge, squeezing the buttocks. Interlace the last 3 fingers, keeping the index finger and the thumb lifted, and we'll start to keep the lunge and lift the torso up. Arms are going to go up as high as they can go. Once they get to about the ears, let them stay here, and then tilt the chest up towards the ceiling. So avoid shifting the weight back to try and get a deeper back bend, or throwing the arms somewhere back here. So let the whole spine kind of work as one, and it doesn't matter how deep you're going into this position, but can we feel that expansion through the spine like a straw, lengthening and rounding rather than collapsing. And if your arms are kind of here and you need a bit more space, just separate the arms to get them a bit closer to the ears,
or leave them here and keep tilting back. You might find there's restrictions somewhere along the lats or somewhere in the shoulders, and that's okay. Good, we're going to release the hands towards the hips, tuck the back toe and lift the back knee off the floor. Now this is that moment if you want to take your strap, you're going to grab hold of your strap, and I just take it in half and then grab somewhere around the middle so you've got the hook, a little bit of a loop here, into the left hand, and then the hands can come back to the hips. Now we'll lean forward, a little lean, and we're going to elevate the back leg, warrior three. Now this doesn't have to be parallel to the earth. If you have that in your practice, fine. But what we want to think about is activation of the back line of the body, hamstrings, buttocks, spine. But we're not overarching the back just yet. We're just creating that awareness of holding, contracting. Your right knee is also slightly bent, so you're getting a little bit of activation in your right glute, your right supporting muscles. And we can stay here. We might just practice lowering and lifting if we get tired. That's also fine, still working with that balance. Little bit of fun here. So we're going to bend the left knee, maybe join the knees together first if you need to find the hooking with the strap. Now you don't have to use the strap, but it's great as an option if you cannot reach your foot, or when we fold forward, it's quite hard to keep hold of the foot. And then we're going to start to dive down. Left leg goes up, right hand goes down into a standing splits variation. Now, if you don't need the strap or you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is really hard, balancing with one hand and one foot, just drop the strap and then take the floor with the left hand. So your strap can dangle somewhere here, still attached to the foot, but we're not having to use it, use the hand to pull. If you like that feeling, push the foot into the strap or the hand and get extra stretching going through the quadricep, through the hamstring of the right leg, and it can be a little bit of fun to find that challenge with your balance. Go easy with your body, keep breathing, check with what you have that's available for you. Feel the ground supporting you so you can expand and open more. Hard bit to come back up. So we're going to try and work into dancer's pose. So slowly push through the right leg, and we're going to elevate the torso all the way up. Now you might want to bring the knees back together and first find length through the upper body. Now, if you're still working with the strap, it's really useful. If you don't want to work with the strap, take the inside of the left foot. Rather than taking it kind of like internally bound, try and open up the shoulder. You'll have much more space in your shoulder joint. If you've got the strap, it doesn't really matter so much kind of how you grab it, but again, have that opening through the shoulder. So we're going to start to push the foot back into the hand or the strap. The tilting is happening from your pelvis rather than your hip flexor. So we're not taking the hip down. It's not a warrior three. So I want you to feel the difference to how we were before in warrior three to dancer's pose, which is an opening through the chest and an elevating through the back leg. This is a back bend, so you're going to feel this in the back of your body more than in your glutes. Glutes are still on. Keep breathing. Wherever we might be, doesn't matter how high that back leg goes. We're then going to slowly release the foot, release the strap, drop it to the top of your mat, and step that left leg back, interlace the fingers, and turn to the long edge of your mat. And you can keep the index finger and the thumb separated again, Kali Mudra. I'm going to slowly take a big circle, like a clock, going all the way to the left side first, all the way down, all the way to the bottom, like we're drawing a big circle, and back up to the top, slowly and controlled. We'll do this one more time, coming down to the left. Now, as we come back up to the right, turn out the right foot, bend the right knee, keep the arms together and come to this warrior two. Keep the arms up by the ears if you can, and then just have this like lean back. So we're kind of coming into reversed warrior, but without the arms dropping down the legs. It's a lot harder. You'll feel your muscles have to stabilize the torso. So you might go less deep into this back bend variation. You'll feel more stability and your muscles activating to hold you here. Try and keep breathing. That's important, that one. Okay, we'll pivot the back left ball of the foot towards the top of the mat. Finding a high lunge, and then separate the arms into a wide V, and then think about just opening up the heart center. Imagine you've got a beam of light. I'm quite lucky I've got a light above me here. Literally pouring light down into the heart center. So although it's a back bend, we're still encouraging strength into the glutes to support your lumbar spine, and think of opening up the heart center. Lovely. Left hand comes down into the earth, twisting it out, reaching the right arm up. Now you can stay here, no need to change this pose whatsoever. Or if you fancy it, flip into wild thing. Right foot steps over the left. You might want to catch the back of the skull and take a lovely back bend here. If you want an extra challenge, reach the right hand to see if we can catch the right foot. So we're balancing on one arm and one leg, and we're opening up into that right hip flexor. You can either pull the heel towards the buttock as I fall over, or you can kick the foot into the hand. Hard balance to achieve. Good. Now we're coming back to the twist, stepping the right foot back over, and then lower the left knee into the ground. Just check that that left hand is underneath your left shoulder. So we have left hip over the left knee, left shoulder relatively over the left wrist. Now we're again going to pivot back round. So if you did the wild thing variation, you get another little play at this sort of pose. Catching the foot, if we can reach it, or fake it. Reaching and faking it. If you can catch it, again, you can push the foot into the hand, or you can pull the buttock and the heel together, closing the gap. So it's whatever you want to work. Whether you want to feel that stretch to the front of the thigh, or work a bit more into the hip flexor and the back bend. Now let's start to place the right knee, in line with the left ankle, and give yourself a good hip distance space. You can let go of the right foot, or can keep hold of the right foot and lift up. Lifting the left arm high, so our knees are staggered. We're not next to each other with the legs. The right knee is a little bit further behind the left, so it makes it a little harder. We can stay here, maybe place the hand behind the skull and just lean back slightly. That might feel quite nice. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper and you've got hold of this foot, maybe slide the foot into the elbow crease, as this might just be anatomically inaccessible, so don't give yourself a hard time. Maybe reach the left arm to catch the right fingers. Maybe. Now we're trying to twist so that the hips are facing forwards, so this is not an externally rotated hip. And obviously you're going to try and twist so the chest is going to look up towards the sky. There will be a little bit of a swivel in your spine, and just lean the head back into that gap in the arms and breathe. If this is not nice for the knee, you can simply just take this variation, leaning slightly back, opening up through the chest. Good, we're going to release the left hand towards the floor. Now, if you have got hold of the foot, keep hold of it. If you haven't, we're going to again fake it till we make it. Lift the right leg up. Now, either grabbing hold of the foot, it's actually easier if you can grab the foot. So if you're not holding it, you're working much harder. So it's not harder to grab the foot necessarily, it's a little bit easier. Because if you've got it, you can push against something. If you're working towards it, you'll probably feel all that balance is happening in your left arm and left leg, and you're reaching back to that foot and elevating up using muscles rather than pinning and pulling. One more breath. Now release the right knee, this time next to the left, tuck the toes, and curl up to kneeling. Sweep the arms up, interlace the fingers and place the hands behind the skull. And firstly, just let the head drop back into the hands. So nothing has changed in this area yet. Just the upper back is opened a little bit, and you can stay here. Squeeze the buttocks and push the pelvis forward. And then feel like you're trying to ripple that energy and lengthening up through the upper back. So we deepen the back bend. And again, squeeze the butt, push the pelvis forward, and then lengthen up through the spine, like a straw. And again, squeeze the butt, push the pelvis forward, lengthen up through the spine as deep as you would like to go. And then slowly coming either to sit onto the heels, if it's comfortable for you, or come into a neutral tabletop position. Whoo, we made it through the first round. Just check in with your back. If you need a little bit of movement, take a bit of movement. If you're feeling like, wow, I didn't know I had these muscles in the back of my body, go easier on the second round, yeah? Listen to what's happening for you. Good, we're going to come back into our downward facing dog, or if we're in tabletop, you can stay in tabletop, lengthening through the spine, pushing into the earth. Remember, there is no perfect downward facing dog distance. Where are you trying to work your body today? Let's come high onto the balls of the feet. Start to slowly lower the knees down into the earth. Gently connect them into the floor. We'll inhale, come into our cow variation. So lifting the head, tailbone, but finding space through the spine. So lifting as high as it feels appropriate for your spine to arch. Then we have two options, chin to chest or forearms down into this position. We can still lift the right leg from here if we're working into this variation, and we can still lift the left leg. So it's just dependent on what you want to work today. If you have chin and chest down to the floor, remember most of the effort is in the arms, not in the head or the chest. And we're going to lift that right leg up. Bent knee, maybe lift the left leg and straighten the right leg. And we're going to slide onto the belly, all the way down, legs joined behind you. Then reach the arms as far forward as you'd like to go to then come up into this seal position, straight arms, squeezing the buttocks and activating through the legs. And then remember, we're like pulling the mat in towards you, like you're trying to pull the floor towards the belly. So your upper back is working. Shoulders are coming slightly down here because we're pulling in. We push away, the shoulders come up, so the shoulder blades raise. When we pull in, the shoulder blades are coming down. Breathing slowly. And then slide the hands back underneath, so they're coming more closer to the rib cage. Tucking the toes, the knees can be down or up. We're going to try and lift the body either up to tabletop or all the way up to plank and back into downward facing dog, or you can stay in tabletop position. Left leg's going to lift up, inhale, and we'll shift the weight forward into that plank or staying in the tabletop position, and try and maintain the shoulders over the wrist as best you can. Bend the left knee, so the left toes are trying to touch the head. They will never touch, but we're just pretending, yeah? So we're going to bring that left knee to the nose, rounding the spine, keeping the shoulders over the wrists, and push back as we inhale, lift back up. Exhale, nose to knee. Rounding. Inhale to lift back up. One more. Exhale, nose to knee, rounding. Inhale, lift up. This time as we pull that left knee in, we step the foot in between the hands and we lower the right knee down if we're in the table, the plank variation. Interlace the last three fingers. Index finger and thumb stay up, squeeze the buttocks and keep the lunge. So we're not shifting back to get the arms up. We're just lifting the arms, coming into a crescent lunge. The arms will stop round about the ears and then we take the lean back. So the head goes with the movement rather than the head getting lost somewhere back here. Let your neck stay in line with your spine. If you can't get your arms by your ears but you want to stretch them out, just separate the arms so you can create space. Or keep them somewhere here, wherever they might reach, and just work with the stretch. So think lengthening up and out. Breathe, that's important. Good, the hands are then going to come towards the hips, and I want you to tuck the back toe. That's my battery saying it's low, hang on. You want to be able to see me. Hopefully you want to be able to see me. So we're going to bring the hands towards the hips, tuck the back right toe, lift the back right knee, and you might want to reach and grab hold of your strap. Remember, we want the loop of the strap. We can just grab hold of two ends and then bring the hand back towards the right hip. Lean forward. See, we can lift up onto that left leg, elevating the right. So if we've got a soggy right leg, it's going to be really hard to maintain the balance. If we've got a strong right leg, it's going to be easier to lift it up. More effort, for sure. And you should feel the whole back line of your body active and strong, including this left leg, knees a little bit bent. We don't have to be parallel to the floor. It's still going to be effortful to keep the leg lifted, and we can come back and up, lifting and lowering if you're feeling tired, and just playing with that movement. This isn't a back bend yet. So we're just playing with the difference between Warrior 3, our variation of Warrior 3, and our dancer's pose. Good, so we'll bring the legs back together, knees together, bend the knee. Now you can hook the right foot with the strap. Again, sliding the hand as close to the foot as it feels accessible. You can always change that grip. And start to come down into our standing splits. Left hand reaches to the floor. When the left hand gets there, you can then push the right leg in, right foot into the strap and get a lovely stretch here. But if that feels super scary and uncomfortable, just let the strap go and bring the right hand to the floor, and you can work with just pushing the knee up towards the sky. You can play with this. If you feel super wobbly, wobbling is great, but just don't fall out on the floor. That won't be so fun. But just have a play with what you can reach, how maybe just lifting the right fingers away from the floor, maybe just reaching up to the sky before you necessarily grab and push. The harder bit is coming out of this. So deep bend in the left knee, let your thigh muscles activate. Start to lift the torso all the way up. My left leg's wobbly. Super wobbly. Amazing. And you can bring the knees together, lift up through the chest with the left arm first. So this is us coming into dancer's pose. So we're taking this into a back bend. Now push the right foot back into the strap. Remember that external rotation of the shoulder, so we're opening up the shoulder, and the tilting is happening from the pelvis and also a bit more curvature into the lumbar spine. If you can reach the foot, remember we're taking the inside of the foot. We did this on the ground when we were on our side, and we're lifting and opening. So it's going to be dependent on not just the hip flexor, the strength of the back, the curvature of your spine, the space in the belly, how much we can open up through the chest. Not about how high we can get the leg, but can we keep the hips parallel and work with our body? Take another breath here. Now releasing the strap forward, take a big step back with the right foot. Interlace the fingers, maybe index and thumb stay separated, and turn the toes to the long edge of the mat. We'll start to take a big circle to the right, going all the way through each number of a clock, all the way down, all the way round and back up to the left side, nice and steady. We'll go again, circling to the right. And as we start to come back round to the left, turn the left foot to the top of your mat, bend your left knee, and we're coming through warrior two stance, but the arms are by your ears. Then just a little lean back, reversing the warrior. Remember, your torso has to activate here to hold you. So if you need less, take less. Squeezing your glutes, pulling your legs towards each other, find stability into the ground, and let your head move with the spine rather than overextending into the neck. Okay, we'll pivot the back foot to turn to face the top of your mat. Open your arms out into a nice wide V, and then open up through the heart center. Remember that vision of that light pouring into the center of the heart, opening up this channel. And then slowly the right hand comes into the earth, twisted lunge, left arm reaches high. Good work. Now you can stay here, just exploring that lovely twist, or push down through the right foot, left leg goes over, wild thing. Maybe catching the back of the skull. If you want to work really hard, I'm not sure this side wants to do it today for me. Reach the left hand towards the left foot and see if you can catch the left foot and push the foot into the hand. Remember, you can pull the heel towards the buttock, or you can push the foot into the hand and breathe. Good, coming back to the twisted lunge. So stepping the left foot back forward, twisted lunge, left arm up. And then drop the right knee down underneath the right hip and just check your right hand is also underneath your right shoulder-ish. And we're going to turn open. So just as we did kind of in our wild thing with the knee down, left knee in line with the hip relatively, and see if you can catch the foot. If you can't, just reach for it. If you've got it and you want to pull the glute and the heel to close off the joint, and then pull the left knee away. Maybe you push the foot back into the hand. It's a little bit more arching in the spine, but go easy on your body. Now that left knee is going to come in line with the right ankle. Now you can let go of the left foot, so you don't have to hold on. You can come all the way up, lifting the right arm high, taking a hand behind the skull and gently reaching back into a variation of our camel pose, trying to swivel the shoulders forward. You can always reach and bring the arms somewhere funky, or if you've got a hold of the foot, oh yeah, nice stretch to the front of the hip, the thigh. You might want to slide the elbow crease towards the toes and see we can reach towards the right fingers and then open up through the chest. So nice stretch for the thigh, the arm, the back, belly, feels amazing. Good, releasing the right hand to the earth. Now if you've got hold of the left foot, keep hold of it. We pick it up. Remember I said it's easier to have hold of the foot so we've got something to push against. I didn't lie, it is easier. So you can push against the foot and elevate. If you're faking it, reaching it, going like I'm just imagining I've got my hand and foot connected, you're working a lot harder. So if you want to work harder, separate and use the muscles to lift up rather than pinning and pulling. See what happens. One more breath. Now we'll release the knees next to each other, tuck the toes and curl up. Last push, everyone, here we go. Reach the arms high, interlace the fingers behind the skull and just let the head drop back into the hands. So nothing changes in the lower body yet. Now we're going to squeeze the buttocks and push the pelvis forward. And then imagine we're being like pulled up through the entire body, which creates more of a back bend. We'll go again. Squeeze the buttocks, push the pelvis forward, and then be like squeezed up, lengthening. And again, squeeze the buttocks, push the pelvis forward, and then lengthen through the spine. And slowly make your way either to tabletop, sitting onto the heels, or even a child pose if you need it. We made it. Breathing slowly. Now we're going to want to have our bolster. So grab hold of your bolster. This is the one that I had from earlier. I always want to do like a cake program where this is what I made earlier. Not that I can really bake, but you never know. Everything yoga baking site, it's not going to happen. So we can bring the bolster in front of us or pillow. It doesn't have to be a bolster, it can be blocks, whatever might be a little bit higher off the ground. And we can either take this into a wide-kneed child's pose position and drop the forehead down to the floor. So we're thinking about elongating through the back. So I want you to feel that lengthening happening through your spine. If this doesn't feel comfortable for your knees or your feet, you can do this in a puppy variation, but just be mindful your head might not come down to the ground. You might have to float your head somewhere and pull back. So if you're in the puppy more variation, think about pulling your hips back and just walking your hands forward to get that lovely stretch through the lateral sides of the body and also the lower back. I prefer to do this with my knees wide because it gives my body more space, my spine more space to elongate, but it's not wrong bringing your knees together if that feels better for you. Let's take another breath. And then starting to just roll the bolster forward, we're going to come back into our Sphinx position and we're going to repeat our twist just to see the difference. Lift the left elbow up, right arm comes underneath, roll onto that right hip and draw the left knee in. Sweep the left arm open into that twist. Now you might think, gosh, I'm so much more open. There's so much more movement here. And it feels really great. Or you might be like, wow, I am tighter. You've been activating muscles in your body, so you might feel that there's more tension in different locations. So whatever you feel is welcome. It's not wrong to feel more tension here. Good, we'll make our way back into our Sphinx pose. Lift the right elbow. Left arm comes underneath the armpit. Roll onto the left hip, draw the right knee in and twist the right arm around. Remember, you can grab hold of that right thigh and just notice what you feel on this side. Again, it's okay if you feel tighter, or you might feel the sensations just in different parts of your body. You might be like, wow, I really let go of tension here, but I've now started to carry tension in this area. Maybe when we drop something, we might pick something else up and carry that forward. Coming all the way back nice and slowly into our little Sphinx position. Take a breath, inhale. And exhale, just make our way back to where we started, on the belly. Forehead can rest into the hands. And just breathe into the back of the body. Let the rib cage rise and fall. Then slowly push into the floor, lift the body up. We're going to make our way onto our sit bones. You can cross at the ankles or just find your way down onto the floor. And we're going to use our pillow or our bolster again. Two options. Option one, stronger stretch. You can bring the feet onto the edge of the bolster. And I actually want you to round here. We've done a lot of back opening positions, so a lot of extending of the spine. It might feel quite tight and you might just want to round a little bit here and just release some of that tension. If you want it to be a little bit more cozy, a little bit less effort on your hamstrings, and just roll the pillow. Should I just call it a billow? Bolster and pillow, you know what I mean, billow. So you're going to roll over. Again, it doesn't have to be a deep forward fold, but it's just a gentle rounding of the spine. Over the billow. So whatever feels the most accessible, like maybe you're like, you know, I'm really tired now, I've done a lot of effort in my back. I want to let everything be soft and manageable stretching. Or you might be like, yeah, I want that deep stretch. I want to feel that lovely opening through the back of the body. So you go a little bit deeper. But just be aware that we're here at the end of our practice. Our muscles might have contracted, so we want to be soft. Take some of the effort out before we come to relaxation. As you gently begin to roll up, take your time to unravel the spine. And if your bolster or pillow isn't under the knees, you might want to just shift it under the knees. So you've got the support for the lower back as we come down onto the earth. So making your way into Shavasana, if you do need a blanket, I highly recommend one. If you're practicing in a colder climate, obviously it's going to be nice to have warmth. But anyway, your body temperature will drop. So just make sure that your body is covered where you know you might need a little bit of comfort and support for the next few minutes. When we work the back line of the body, we're working quite a lot with the sympathetic nervous system. You can feel that the heat builds up really quickly. So when we come and lie still onto the earth, we might feel the body cooling down quite fast. And before we completely end the practice, we're going to just take a very simple breathing exercise. As you breathe in through the nose, I want you to visualize a golden light coming down through the throat, into the chest, into the belly, the abdomen, the pelvis. And as we exhale, that golden light travels up the spine, through the space between the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, the back of the head, and up and around back to the nose. Inhaling again, through the nostrils, down the throat, the front line of the body, all the way to the pelvis. Exhaling up the spine, through the shoulder blades, back of the neck, back of the head, and back round to the nose. And just keep this going. Inhaling down the front of the body with that golden light. Exhaling up the back line of the body, over the head and back to the nose. Moving with your own breath, feeling sensations as you watch the light traveling through the body. And you can continue to do this for the entire relaxation if it helps you focus and soften your body, or let it go. You can stay here for as long as you need, or I will wake you up in the next few minutes. as you very gently awaken the body. Deeper breaths, little wiggles of the hips, fingers, toes. Maybe you need a big stretch and expanding your body. Maybe a sigh out through the mouth, audible release. You might hug the knees in towards the chest, wrap around the shins and feel the pressure of the back pushing into the ground as you maybe rock a little bit from side to side. We'll let the body roll all the way to the left or the right and pause here. And with as little effort as possible, just pick your body up, coming into a comfortable seated position. If you need anything to prop your sit bones onto to elevate the spine even more, you can. Any final little wiggles or twinges, anything that needs to be moved, you can move. And we'll close off our practice together. Inhale, lifting the arms up to the sky. The palms can connect together. As we exhale, draw the hands down towards the heart center. Bowing your head forward. Thanking yourself for your practice. For working with the back line of the body. Letting go of what doesn't need to be carried forward. Namaste. Wonderful work, everybody.